I tracked calories for 10 years, and the most important thing I learned involved stopping. And in this video, I'm not going to tell you to stop tracking, but I'm going to show and explain what happened to me, and then you can decide for yourself. And then hopefully by the end, you'll have enough to see that tracking isn't the answer long term. And once that's clear, the next natural step is obviously understanding what works instead. So I'll point you there at the end. So I want to start with why I actually started calorie counting, because it wasn't random. It was the fact that it gave me the feeling of control. Calories in, calories out, that was it. No fads, no gimmicks, just the numbers. And calorie counting appeals a lot to men who trust numbers over the feelings or the thoughts around food. People who've already tried the fads, the crazy diets, and written them off. Men that want to actually solve the problem rather than just try yet another diet. Maybe calorie counting was recommended to you by your trusted PT, and he was ripped, so it must work. And there are deeper reasons too, and maybe ones you've never realized just because no one's ever told you. Reasons that appeal to your identity, your fears, your personality traits. First of all, when you track calories, it makes you look like you have it together, not like you're another crazy crash diet. And that really matters when you pride yourself on being scientific about it. Next, you try and use the traits that made you successful at work to also lose fat. You treat it like a project, clear goal, timeline, total commitment until the end. And because there's a set time period, you can mentally justify pushing extra hard. You go all in for 12 weeks, cut back on social occasions, turn down those spontaneous meals, push through those Friday evenings where you just want something sweet or nice. All because you know it won't be permanent. You can tolerate the restriction because you know there's an end date. That's how you operate at work, and you feel it's the best way to approach fat loss too. So counting and tracking is methodical, and it fits the other ways you've already been successful, especially in your work. And finally, one of the deepest reasons calorie counting is attractive is because it gives you that feeling of control. The numbers are precise. You know exactly what's going in and going out. The precision of it quietens a fear that most men carry but are rarely aware of. It's the fear of losing control of your body and putting on weight and taking a hit to your self-worth that comes with that. If it's important how you look, then this can be a deep underlying factor of why you are attracted to counting the numbers. And that's exactly why it took me over 10 years to question it. And here's the part that's hard to see while you're actually doing it. Calorie counting requires precision, and precision has a cost. Every meal is a calculation. Every restaurant is something else to consider. Every meal someone else has cooked for you is an estimate that you don't fully trust. You're carrying a running total in your head and thinking about food from the moment you wake up. Breakfast, you update the number. Coffee with milk, you update the number. Someone puts biscuits on the table at work and there's that battle of should I, shouldn't I? Is it worth it? It's like a kettle that's been on since 7 in the morning. The heat builds slowly, but you don't notice it because you're busy with your day. But by the evening, that kettle has been boiling for 12 hours and the pressure has to go somewhere. And what happens? You seek a release, probably with food you didn't really want to eat. That's what calorie counting does. It's not as simple as people say. It's not just that 60 seconds it takes to log something in an app. There's a background process running in the background that never fully switches off. It's almost like a constant low-level management system that requires your attention at every meal, every decision, every thought process throughout your day. And like I said, that load builds up. And by the end of the day, it has to come out somewhere. Cheat days exist because your mind needs a break, not because they're a sensible strategy. People often don't track on holiday because the cognitive load in an unfamiliar environment is often too high. And who wants to ruin the enjoyment of your holiday tracking everything, right? It's time off, so tracking is off too. And it's also very common to eat the same few meals across the week because it reduces the numbers that have to be calculated. You already know them. And this also reduces that thought process. It's not because you love those meals so much, it just makes it easier to do. It's a hack that you justified to take away some of that mental effort. So if any of this is sounding familiar and you do struggle with fat loss and would like to understand your eating pattern more, I have a free assessment in the description below. It's 60 seconds and it will tell you your exact eating pattern, why you're not getting success, and crucially, what you need to do next to get better results. It's down there in the description below. So here's what it took me longest to see with calorie counting. There were obviously a lot of things that kept me doing it. The identity, the project mindset, the feeling of control. But underneath all of that, there was something stronger. The fear of what would happen if I stopped. And here's the paradox I couldn't see at the time. I thought that calorie counting was helping me with my eating. I thought it was solving my eating problem. In actual fact, it was making it worse. Like I said before, that low-level energy drain from tracking and thinking about food all day had to go somewhere. And it often came out in the evening, eating food that wasn't really related to hunger, food that I didn't really want to eat. It was that release. So the paradox is that the tool I was using to control my eating was actually causing me to lose control of it. And I know how that sounds, like I'm blaming an app, but this is what actually happened. And in the moment, in those 10 years, I just couldn't see it. Every time I, let's say, binged in the evening, the tracking just resumed the next day. I just kept on logging my food as normal. And for the most part, I was controlling my weight because I knew how much I was eating and how many calories I was burning. So the effect of those binges wasn't as big as it could have been. And it almost justified enjoying this food. So from the outside, the people around me thought I had discovered a secret. Eat all this lovely food and maintain your weight. They just couldn't see what was going on in the inside, how it was draining me, how it was affecting me, how it was causing me to eat this food. And I wasn't really enjoying it. I was using it to switch off, to release that pressure from the day. And it was reducing the quality of my life in other areas too. All this background thinking was taking away from energy I had from my work, from my family life, everything else. So what happened when I stopped calorie counting? When I stopped, I was scared. I was genuinely scared. My own hunger signals had been outsourced to an app for years. I just didn't trust myself around food. I didn't trust what would happen if I didn't track those numbers. What I had to come to terms with was letting go of the control, the precision, the tightness of those rules. Of course, I still tracked my food in a way that I knew I was getting enough of what I needed, but I let go of the numbers, that precise control. And to my surprise, nothing bad happened. I didn't suddenly gain weight, but something else happened too, something that I wasn't expecting. I noticed I was eating, having meals, without thinking too much about the numbers. I was tuning into the food more, the experience, the taste, the enjoyment. I was making food choices without that internal negotiation, going to restaurants without thinking too much about the calories, really reading the menu and picking something I actually wanted to eat. I remember being at a birthday party and being truly present rather than before, when I would just keep a running total in my head of the calories and had I overeaten and should I eat this and what am I going to feel tomorrow and all those things. The thing is, I hadn't realized how much of my energy and attention food was consuming until I had it back. And the binges reduced as well. And not because I had more discipline, but because the background pressure had reduced. And so there was no need for a release. And I also started eating a wider range of food. I started enjoying it more, picking food for what I actually want, rather than specific numbers that suited the app. And also the fact that I didn't just eat the same meals because it was easier, because I was familiar with how many calories those had. And also, surprisingly, when I went away on holiday, I didn't just throw my health and fitness goals and plans out the window. I knew how to guide myself and choose choices that suited me rather than just doing nothing at all. And none of that came from tracking better. It came from stopping completely. So if you are counting calories and it's either not working for you or you quietly know what it's taking away from your life, it's worth asking the question, what is tracking actually giving you? For most people, it's that feeling of control. And that feeling has a hidden cost, as we've discussed in this video. And that's why I always say that fat loss is a psychology problem, not a calorie problem. You know how to eat, but it's how you think about food, how you relate to yourself, what drives you, that is the most important thing for most people to work on to get the results that they want. So don't forget, I have my free eating assessment in the description below. It takes just 60 seconds and it gives you your eating pattern, tells you what you're doing wrong, and crucially, what to do instead. And it's down there in the description below. So in the 10 years plus that I calorie counted, I just didn't realize there was another way. And also that fear of stopping stopped me from looking. So if you would like to know what do you do instead? How can you possibly lose weight without tracking calories? That's what this next video will explain.